Hi, I'm Colin.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Drew.
And we're the Gamesmiths, and we just got done playing Vigilante, and we're going to give you some of our thoughts. Well, first of all, I'd say we had a really fun time. I think your design is beautiful. The artwork, the layout of the game is really well done. The rules were easy to understand. I loved your kind of hiding board that had your different actions you could do, so it was easy to look through. Even before starting the rules, I was able to get kind of an idea of how the game was played and what to do. So all of that was very inviting. My whole experience was pretty fun. I obviously played the neutral character. It was a little easy to do the win condition, but it was still very enjoyable to interact with these guys and to see the different kind of strategies you could do, like go after villains or draw cards. There was just so many options, and you could really think about what you're doing. It was super engaging the whole time. Even the play order switching around, it was pretty fun and unique. And yeah, it was fun figuring out who was going to go where. I would play this again. I would probably back it on Kickstarter. I thought it was so fun. The replayability was just really great.
Yeah, they got the different scenarios and stuff like that.
I think I think we all agree the balancing might be a little bit off, but other than that, I think you're headed in a wonderful direction. It's just beautiful. So we love seeing games like this come through. Super engaging. So
I definitely would also play it again, especially just to see how the different characters get dealt out, because you know, all of the good characters have the same conditions, but with the two neutral and the, was it five?
Five different evil. Yeah,
Five
there's two
evil.
different evil.
Two different evil, but four of them are one, and like the fifth is the other. So seeing how that would play out differently, I think would help us understand kind of the balance of the game.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say I enjoyed the game a lot. I do agree kind of with pretty much everything that's been said already. One of the things, a few of the things that I would look at improving, one, just keep fine-tuning your language on all the cards. I can tell, even though like, you know, we got like some updates to the rules a few days ago and stuff like that, that you're still working on it, you're still refining the rules, you're still polishing it. So make sure, like when we were, you know, there were some cards that we were talking about, there were some parts in the rules where like the part that says that the hero market always has to be full was kind of buried down, like, so I just kind of take a few more passes at the rules and making sure that everything's arranged a little bit more logically. You did a pretty good job for the most part, but there were some things that we kind of had to go digging to find that probably should have been a little more important than they were. And then there were the few things that you'll see on the gameplay that confused us, like
We never really found a solution to.
Yeah, like heal one. Some of the grammar on the cards we weren't sure.
Heal
if you would,
a hero. Does that mean take 1 damage off them or remove all their damage?
It was the heal one of your hero.
Right, right.
And you're just, is that heal one from one of your heroes or off, or heal one of your heroes completely? It was a little, so I would look at that. And then I would look at, like Colin was saying, the neutral characters and just kind of looking at balancing everybody's objectives a little differently. I think the good objective might be a little too difficult to get. I was actually under the assumption the whole time, and all of us were, that since there were two good people, if 14 characters were in jail across anything,
14 villains.
or 14 villains were in jail across the whole board, then they won. I didn't realize that all of mine didn't count towards, and it was still like close. And if you had taken out the ones that I had, now all of a sudden it isn't. Like, there weren't 14 total on the board at all, because Colin, in his character, wasn't incentivized to get any. But then even if he was, his neutral ones that he jailed wouldn't have helped the good players win. So it becomes a little obvious who's good and who's bad. And if the good players spend all their time just attacking the bad players, they're not going to capture 14 heroes either.
Right.
Like, so I would make sure that there's an incentive for everybody, because if I had known that, I would have played that game very differently. And I already wasn't that excited to play any of the cards that just let me check somebody else's influence, or
especially when they get shuffled up,
right?
And like you have the chance of seeing the same thing out of 4. It's like, I don't know.
I feel like
What's the point?
checking someone's allegiance, that whole mechanic needs to be more frequent. It happens so infrequently as to be almost useless. Like,
They just didn't come up
because
in
how many allegiance checks did we actually do? 2
I
or
think
3?
they did come up in the cards a little bit more often, but a lot of times we were spending those for influence to buy heroes.
because it was more
So-
valuable to get a hero than it would be to
Right.
To
And there,
see
check somebody's
Yeah.
allegiance.
But
if
it shouldn't
might be
cost so
something.
much to get a clearer picture when you're still shuffling it. You don't know, if you look
Right.
at someone's good token twice,
I-
you don't know.
I
if they're
honestly
good.
think like the good way to solve it is just have you look at whatever their card is to see
Yeah.
who they
Well,
are,
there are a
but
couple-
not be able to say anything about it to other people
Right.
to know, oh, okay, so you're actually the evil person and this is your objective. So then that gives people more incentive to know what other people are planning to do.
I like the mechanic. I think it needs a little more refining. I like the mystery.
Another way that I think that they could fix that would be maybe instead of having to use a card that you could also use as influence to check those tokens, would be that you could use that just as part of your turn at any given
just
time.
one of your actions.
Yeah, as one
well,
of
and
your
I think there were.
actions.
I think there were some heroes that allowed you to do that if you had them, that allowed you to use that action. But I would actually. So what I like about this game, the thing that I really like about this game is, at its core, it's this hidden identities game, which I always like. But my biggest problem with them is they all just basically devolve into a bunch of yelling and a bunch of like weirdly like there's just this weird like social meta game because like, well, none of us actually did anything, but we're all accusing people of stuff. I like in this game that you have to do stuff, and so like you have to very publicly do things, which kind of give away what your alignment is. I would almost, just because of how the game works, that Colin was very clearly doing something that wasn't good, and unless you're the mastermind, there's really no incentive for you to actually ever fight a villain. So it's kind of obvious that like the 2 good people are fighting villains and the one bad guy is not fighting villains, just trying to steal villains from the 2 good people, and the neutral person is doing like maybe fighting some villains or maybe not, depending on which neutral role that they get. So what the players are doing, once you know what all the different motivations are, I think it becomes easier and easier to figure out people's intentions, which part of these games are all about that. And so I would almost just scale that back. But I'm a little concerned that your win condition is too tough for the good guys.
I definitely agree.
Because if nobody but the good guys really has to ever collect villains, then you as the villain don't really have to hide your motivations at all. You can just openly attack people and hope that they waste their turn. There's not a lot that the good guys can do because they're basically just racing against time to gather as many people as they can.
Yeah,
and the good
using
guys
an
just
action
trying
to do damage to an evil or neutral person's hero, that's
You
a waste
shouldn't-
of an action.
Yeah, if
Well-
you're a good person.
And I think another thing that kind of unbalanced it, like against the good guys, was the amount of jailbreak cards that there were in the events. Like, there's more of those than any other thing, and so it's easy for them to occur, even for the good guys who don't want it to occur.
Right.
so it makes it hard to, like, once you get villains, to hold on to enough of them to be able to win at the end of the game.
And then I'd also like to say then that I think the biggest design change I would make to this, because I think you do have a game that's pretty well designed, and a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is just like play testing and development and figuring out and balancing and stuff like that. I think the only like hole I might see in the design, and maybe I'm just wrong and we weren't playing something right, but I didn't see a real good way for the heroes to help each other or for characters to help each other at all. And I think this game gets more interesting when you need people's help. Then the alignments become a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Because if we were down, like if so, and I'm just spitballing here, but let's say you change the rules to each good person had to have 7 villains in jail, and the bad person is not allowed to have 7 villains in jail, like that kind of mastermind situation, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we were at a spot where we knew that Chelsea was going to be the last person that gets to go before the game is over. She is good, and she has like 7 jail. She's got 7 bad guys locked up. She's good. And she knows Colin's neutral, but she doesn't know what Drew and I are up to. And Drew has 6 and I have 6. And she can help one of us get to 7. But which one she helps depends on who. If she helps the villain wins the game. And if she helps the other good person, then the good person wins the game. So knowing who that I think is a very interesting situation now that you have, because then it really matters on who Chelsea thinks is good or evil as to who wins or loses that game.
Yeah.
And that's when these hidden elements are at their most interesting. And then that's when knowing who's good is a real advantage. Because then knowing who's good from the get-go, if you two can really help each other from the word go, and that's a real advantage, then all of a sudden, like if the good guy's outcome becomes easy, if they can 100% say who the other good guys are, then I think the whole who's who becomes interesting. Then because honestly, if I had known all I had to do was stop just these two from getting a combined total of 14, I would have just been evil from the get-go. Like, I don't think if I was just actively hurting them, because I was kind of half helping them and sometimes not doing the worst thing I could because I wanted to keep my identity a secret. But if I had realized it didn't really matter and I could have just gone, like if I could have spent all my turns just trying to cripple Drew and made sure Drew never got to 7, like I think I could have. Like I was half trying to be a good guy, and like at the end of the game, I'm like, man, I kind of wasted my time being a good guy. I could have just been real evil to these guys the whole time, and they wouldn't have had any chance, you know?
You knew for sure that at least like one of us.
Oh, I knew for sure, just because I knew how Colin was playing. He was neutral. I knew I was evil, so I knew, like,
you
I
could
knew
have
the
just
whole
sat
game.
there and bombarded
does
Drew
go back,
the whole
I
time,
think.
or sat there and bombarded me the whole time, and just like kept either of us from.
Right. I spent all my turn basically negating your turn. Colin's doing nothing because he's neutral, and then it's on Drew to get 14 all by himself.
Yeah.
Like, I'll play that game every time.
Well, and I think that does go back to, like, the win condition for the heroes is difficult. The path we have to take to get there is difficult because of all the jailbreaks. And then I think even the information game favors evil and to a lesser extent neutral.
Because I don't think evil or neutral care.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, to me,
Because I know I'm evil. I
didn't
really don't care
at
which one of
all.
you is neutral.
All I
Exactly,
knew is
yeah.
I'm trying to get this objective. I got it super quick. Like, it was just very easy for me to win. And then I was just sat back. I'm like, well, now I might as well just screw around, and I'll just screw with these guys because they think
So we
I'm
like
evil,
have to
but
team
there's
up,
no
but we're
reason.
also not rewarded for teaming up.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think the good. So that's what I like. I think that's the, like, design wise, the biggest issue that I see. And maybe we just missed it, and maybe we weren't playing something right. but I didn't see a good way to help anybody or what like.
Like you can heal other
Well-
people's
Right.
heroes, like I did that one time. Just 'cause
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, sure, why
But
not?
still, like,
But I kind of
Using an
going
action
into
for 1
it,
point of damage either way is a waste. Sorry.
yeah.
going into it, and like maybe I just like missed this when listening to the rules, but I kind of thought that whoever was neutral would be able to kind of choose a side at the end and like decide to either like help like the good guys win or the bad guy lose. And that wasn't the case. The neutral guy was kind of just in it for himself.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
he is literally neutral.
I think that could be potentially a fun thing to explore, is that the neutral could kind of choose an allegiance at like
Yeah.
depending on what's going on in the game.
Well, and I'll also add that my guy would have been, I can see my guy being a lot more difficult if there's 6 players, because now you have to
Yeah.
have 6 people have someone die. But as we saw the game played, 2 of yours died, 3 of yours died, 2 of yours died. So I still overwhelmingly
Right.
fulfilled
Right,
my
right.
condition.
And all of that being said, like the reason we sometimes get real like passionate about the little changes that we make to games is because we really enjoyed it. So don't take any of this feedback as like we didn't like it. It's we really liked it, and we're maybe just like frustrated by these couple things
Yeah.
that's like standing between us like really loving this and playing it all the time. There are a couple things that just like honestly after a while I think it'd be frustrated getting good because getting the good character because because I feel like it would be too difficult to win and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I did really like it though. I
Yeah.
had a really fun
Yeah,
time.
I do want to say, I don't think we've given near enough credit for like the art and the like actual physical.
yeah, the
designs.
presentation of the
Yeah.
game is great. Yeah.
I thought
Tina Turner.
Tina
Just the
Turner,
best.
Some of the names. yeah, the
Gravitas was a character that I really felt was that like perfect. His name and character were perfectly represented by his abilities, as I imagined them to be, and I thought that was true for a lot of the cards. I wish the flavor text was bigger because I did not read any of it, and I wish I had.
Yeah, yeah. So I think overall you have a really strong design here that's maybe only missing some chance for some positive interaction between the good teammate players. That needs just a little bit of balance and design work, but already has a lot of great. I'm sorry, not design work. A little bit of balance and development work, but already has great design both from a like gameplay standpoint and from like an art and presentation standpoint. So overall, I think you got something strong here, and you're really close. Just tweak those rules, kind of fine tune those last knobs, and I think you have a great game. So thanks for sending it to us, and keep up the good work.